This is like the third Steve Jobs movie in 5 years, and yet, why haven't we seen a Bill Gates movie? So I saw the Steve Jobs movie starring Michael Fassbender, and I gotta say, I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I did, because I also really liked that Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs movie from a few years ago. I don't remember when, 2012, I think, 2011. And I really like that one too. I did not think Michael Fassbender could live up to that one, and I honestly think this movie managed to do that, which is a good thing. But there's a specific reason why I think it managed to do that. See, the Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs movie, it was more centered around Steve Jobs and the company, specifically those two things. It mentioned other parts of it, and it just kind of, but it only really glanced over them. It mentioned that he had a daughter that he did not acknowledge. It mentioned that he had another company in between him being fired and him being rehired at Apple, but it never really went into depth about those things. But see, what this movie did, it took those parts of the movie, the fact that I didn't see those things, and I hated that I did not see those things, and it focused on them. It was like, you know what? Ashton Kutcher handled the company. We'll handle the actual person, Steve Jobs himself. Why can't I say his name right? It's not even that complicated a name. Ugh! We saw what he was doing it next, why he was even doing next, why he made a product like that, what his intentions were. We saw that. We never saw that with Ashton Kutcher. We also saw his daughter, who his daughter was as a person, the mother of said daughter, why he didn't believe that the daughter was not his actual daughter. Ashton Kutcher's movie literally skipped over those parts. It mentioned it, and then 20 years later, the daughter shows up again. That was literally all we saw. But here, the daughter takes up a good half of the movie, and the next company, why he was doing it, that took up a good third of the movie. See, it was split up into three launches, I guess, of his products. It split up into the launch of the Macintosh originally in 1984, split up 4 years later after he got fired from Apple into the next Black Cube, I think it was called. It split up into that launch, and then eventually it went like, skipped like 10 years after the Black Cube's launch into the iMacs launch. And in that, it just showed everything that happened right before that, all the drama that occurred, and surprisingly, a lot of drama occurred then. He even made a joke about it. And why does everything happen right before a launch? And like, I was weird, like, is that accurate? Is that actually what happened? Every single problem he ever had happened right before the launch of a product. I have to say my one complaint about this movie is the same complaint I had for the Ashton Kutcher movie, and that's that it did not show enough. Yeah, it showed the human side of Steve Jobs, and it kind of just brushed off the company side. It mentioned it from time to time, but it never really showed that much about it. Which is why I think that if you're going to watch this movie and you're honestly interested in Steve Jobs and Apple, you should watch both movies, the Ashton Kutcher movie and the Michael Fassbender movie, because honestly, they're just two halves of the same whole. One focuses on the company and Steve Jobs, and the other focuses on Steve Jobs and his human relationships. And that's something that you need to know. I get that he's dead and that we want to respect him and all, but if you honestly want to respect him, you can't just show one side of him. You can't just show his company side, and you can't just show his human side. If you want to respect him properly, you have to show both sides. And most movies do not show the human side that this movie showed. So I have to respect it for that. Well done, Michael Fassbender, and everybody else involved with this movie that I do not know the name of. Another thing I really liked about this movie is that whenever they jumped a few years, they also upped the camera quality. Like in the original, it started in 1984 with the Macintosh's original launch, and everything was all grainy. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad quality or anything. It was just grainy. It's like, oh, that's not the best quality it could possibly be. And I know you have better cameras than this. And then it skipped 4 years to the Black Cube's launch, and it suddenly got a lot better. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing here, and I really like it. I'll never be confused about what year they're in, even though I probably wouldn't be anyway. And they skipped 10 years to 1998 for the IMAX launch, and the quality was perfect. I'm like, okay, I really like what they're doing here. It's really interesting. It's really cool. It's just an overall good idea. Excellently done. In the end, is Steve Jobs worth the ticket? It is. If you have any interest at all in Apple or Steve Jobs, you probably want to see this movie, because the other ones don't really show him as human as they did in this one, and that's a really good thing. You should know about this side of Steve Jobs. He wasn't just a genius, he was also a bit of an asshole. Something that the other movies don't really focus on as much as this one did. Have you guys seen Steve Jobs already? What do you think about it? Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Comment below. Tell me what you guys think about it. I love talking with you. If you haven't seen it, tell me what you think it's going to be like. If you like this video, press that like button and subscribe for more content and awesome movie reviews. And always remember, Droid is better than iPhone. Suck it!